Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me again today. So today's topic is the Polyvagal Theory, and I'd like to just give you some information about the basis around that and how that influences therapy, also how your nervous system is operating when you're in stressed, anxious states of feeling like there's a perceived threat compared to when you're calm and connected and feeling safe. So polyvagal theory was developed by a guy called Stephen Porges, and there basically are three states that your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, is in. Three primary states. Okay, they relate to when you receive when your nervous system receives information saying it's like a perceived threat, or if your nervous system feels like there's no threat, which means then that you're calm and connected and you can actually carry out tasks, day-to-day sort of social engagement tasks, or building relationships, or thinking, problem solving, thinking clearly. Your nervous system it's only when you're in a state of calm, when your nervous system is in that state of calm, that you're able to actually do that. So I'll just go right ahead and explain to you the three states. The first state, which is the ventral vagal state, that's when your nervous system does not receive information or cues from your environment. Now, your environment could mean your physical environment. It could mean your relationships with somebody that's in front of you at that time. Something that happened, previously that's triggering you. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about environment. So when your nervous system receives cues from your immediate environment to say that you feel safe, there is no perceived threat, that's when you're in ventral vagal. And it's only when your nervous system physiologically is in that state that your parts of your brain can actually become active with problem solving, with building your relationships, building your friendships, and generally just being able to sort of go onwards and upwards with social engagement and life itself. Now, the other two states really is when your nervous system has perceived a threat. Okay, so the first one I'd like to discuss is when you are in a sympathetic state of activation. So your nervous system has perceived that there's a threat, an immediate threat, and it goes into a state of activation. Now, this is when you become mobilized. It's when you become anxious. It's when you become stressed. It's essentially what a lot of people would have referred to before, which you might have heard of before, which is your fight and flight response. So you're ready. Your nervous system then stops, takes the energy away from, and the focus, if you like, and the priority away from building relationships, problem solving, organizing what you might do, sort of day to day and in the future, and becomes extremely focused on survival. So it's one of your states where your survival instinct has kicked in, and it's your sympathetic response. Okay, and that is the mobilized state that your nervous system is in. So you're ready to take action. You become hyper alert, hyper focused, and really you haven't really got a lot of peripheral vision. So those of you that have done some of the eye exercises with me will understand that that's actually engaging your peripheral vision so that you can come out of the sympathetic state of activation. But more on that later. I'll leave some links to some of the exercises below. This video really is just to help you understand the theory itself and the three different states that your nervous system can be in at any one time. So the sympathetic one is when you're activated, you're mobilized, you're stressed, you're hypervigil. And you lose the ability to think logically and have executive functioning. And also the priority is not on building friendships in that moment. It's running or fighting. Okay, so you're fleeing or staying to fight. So you're activated. And when you're anxious and stressed, quite often, that is the state that we're in, the nervous system is in. So the work that I do helps people to reset that and come into the ventral vagal, which is the first state I spoke about, which is calm and connected and has cues of safety. Okay, so a lot of my work revolves around helping people to give themselves cues of safety in order to switch up the nervous system and take it out of that sympathetic activation. The third state that I'd like to just talk to you about as well is your dorsal vagal state. And that is when you also perceive, your nervous system perceives a threat and that you're not safe. But instead of going into sympathetic activation, which is fight or flight, you actually go into shutdown. So you become immobilized, you become it's an immobilized, very fear state. You might feel like quite isolated. It's quite often when on those days where you might just take to your bed, a lot of depression. If you're feeling very depressed, quite often your nervous system is not in sympathetic activation, and it's not in ventral vagal. It's actually in dorsal vagal, which means that it's in shutdown. And you just feel very lethargic. You don't really want to do anything. You shut yourself away and you become completely immobilized, really. So that's dorsal vagal. And your nervous system at any one stage can be in one of three of those states. What happens with trauma and how that relates to trauma and how that relates to therapy is when we had a traumatic event in our life. And this can be anything from, ranging from somebody dying to somebody leaving to a relationship breakup, just simply to feeling like you're not accepted by peers and things like that. There's a number of reasons that cause trauma and cause stress and anxiety. But when something happens like that, our nervous system will go into either sympathetic, which is activated state of hypervigilance, or it will go into a shutdown. And what we need to do in therapy, and what we are doing in therapy and in coaching, is we're working with the nervous system, or certainly that's what I do and a number of therapists do. You're working with the nervous system to then give your nervous system cues of safety in order for it to reset. Because unless you do that, all the talking in the world is really not going to help. I think it's very, very important. Talking therapy and it is extremely important. Of course it is. But it's, for me personally, in the coaching sessions that I do and some of the therapeutics, nervous system therapeutic work that I do, it's really about helping the body to reset. And so if you're really interested in finding how to do that, or you're identifying that you're in either in sympathetic nervous system behavioral states where you're hypervigilant, you're stressed, you're anxious a lot of the time, or you're in dorsal vagal state where you're shut down and you'd really like some help to understand what just simple physical exercises that you can do. You don't need to be fit. It's not like a physical like running or anything like that. They're very simple cues of safety that you can do to do with breath work and to do with your eyes and to do with certain parts of massaging then certain parts of the nervous system and where that connects to your skin. They're really easy to do. If you would like some information on that, then please check out the links below because there are some really useful ways that you can simply reset your nervous system out of a state of sympathetic or dorsal vagal reactive activations and into the ventral vagal, which is your calm, connected, central, centered state. And you'll just be able to lead a much better day from that place. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great week.